Good evening, Phillies fans, and welcome back to the Fighting Spinal here on the It's a Rap Sports Network. Your boy Matty B on the call. Phillies tonight. Today, you go down magnanimously in characteristic defeat to the Diamondbacks 9-2, failing to win the series. Their first series loss since the Mets swept them out of Citi Field way back in the beginning of the month of September. This time around, it was Ranger Suarez. Just not up to the task. And on the other side of the field, it was the Diamondbacks middle of the lineup that just feasted on the Phillies, where, of course, our middle of the lineup once again did very pedestrian work. And all of that equals out to a 9-2 drubbing at the hands of the Diamondbacks. The Phillies now will limp home for an off day tomorrow before opening up their 3-game set against the Marlins as we come down to the home stretch of this season. Game 81 on the road in the books. We're done. That is it. No more regular season road tripping for the Phillies in 2025. A couple key points in this game for the Phillies. Let's get them out. Let's address them right now. And these are the same key points that keep me up at night and keep me wondering if this team is actually a World Series contender. The middle of the lineup for the Phillies today. We'll call it the Schwarber 2, 3, 4. Schwarber threw Bohm. I'm not even going to throw Castellanos, who was 1 for 5 in his own right. Did have an RBI, though. But, Bohm had 4 hits, but that was it. Basically, everybody else was a 1 burger or a O burger. And, you're just not going to be able to do things. Philly scratched out 11 runs or hits in this game. But there's another key factor that doomed this team today. And I don't know, tell me where you've heard this before. Runners in scoring position. The Phillies were 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Somebody tell me, am I too hard on them for that? Should I let that go? Is that something that dominates my life that I just need to let go? But 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. It's not like the Phillies did not have their chances, obviously, right? They had 14 runners to get into scoring position, but they were only successful in bringing one of them in. They did scratch out 11 hits. This was not a pitching duel at all between Ranger Suarez and Rodriguez. Rodriguez lasted longer, still was labored. He threw 95 pitches in 6 innings. Suarez threw 79 in 4 innings. That was terrible. But the Phillies, again, it's not a secret. I'm not breaking news here. I'm not enlightening people on what the Phillies' struggles are over the last 3 years, and that's been runners in scoring position. 1 for 14 today. They left 13 on base for the game, and they were 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. And Schwarber did that. Schwarber also grounded out into a double play. So 9-2 is your final, and we're getting to that point of the season where this stuff is becoming a little bit more magnified. I know it's not necessarily magnified in the standings at this point. I think the Phillies, their lot has been, or they've casted their lot. I think it's the number 2 seed, and then that's pretty much where they're going to be. I know there's a chance. I don't think there is a chance. I think they got the 2 seed. So I'm okay with that. I've never been not okay with that. But the bigger picture I am not okay with is the Phillies continue to struggle in some of the more fundamental categories of winning baseball, and especially winning in October. And today, 2 of them were on display: runners in scoring position and not good starting pitching. I mean, let's throw it out there. And that's been a story it's something that's developed into a story as the season went on. I was a firm component that the Phillies had enough pitching, even when Wheeler went down. Yeah, that hurts. That hurts a lot. And you cannot replace that. It's hard to replace an ace. Then it was the Nola stuff and his up and down. And that's obviously worked itself out to the point where Nola's not even really considered as part of the primary rotation in the NLDS, as he's been relegated to that number 4 hole. And the Phillies are hoping to God they don't have to use him. But now you factor in the up and down inconsistencies of Ranger Suarez and the rest of them, with the exception of Chris Sanchez. And now we're left with, we're not going to get good enough starting pitching, and we're going to go 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position, and we're going to leave 13 runners on base. Where does that leave us? And that leaves us out of the playoffs very soon and very quickly, I think. So Phillies lose 9-2. Welcome back to the Fighting Spinal. Busy day here on the network, and we're just getting started, man. We're getting started here. You had the P&M and the AM. Let me put that thing up here. Let me put the graphic up. You had PNM and the AM that kicked it all off. Then the Steelers pregame, postgame. Eagles with the miraculous win against the Rams. We did our birds flyby. You're watching the Fightins final now. Then tonight I will put a bow on all this, and I will definitely chime in about the Eagles with the final word with Matty B. And here's our schedule for the rest of this week as we're getting started on a brand new week here. Tomorrow, the final word. Tuesday, Phillies will be back, so that I will be back as well. Or I don't know. I don't think I have. No, Steve has you Tuesday. And then the rest of the stuff that we have happening on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. So please give us a holler, give us a like, subscribe, smash that little bell thing, all that great stuff. It would really help me out. But let's get it over with. Let's break it down. Let's go into the box score. Phillies 2 runs on 11 hits, 1 error. Diamondbacks 9 runs on 15 hits, no errors. Kind of already went over the offensive instability for the Phillies. Again, they had their chances. They got on base. They had runners. They had hits, 11 of them. Bader 1 for 4. Schwarber 0 for 5. Are we done with the Kyle Schwarber MVP talk? Is that still a thing? And I mean, I'm not trying to be facetious. I mean, is that over with? Are we not talking Kyle Schwarber for MVP? He, since hitting that 50th home run, I think it was, right? No, since that 4 home run night back against the what the hell was that against? A little ways back. It's been a different Kyle Schwarber, and that's starting to become a story too. You know, he's going to give you the home run, but we're asking. I'm asking a little bit more than that. But Kyle Schwarber, the MVP talk over. And I'm being honest, if people still think he's the MVP, because if you think he's better than Ohtani and more valuable than Ohtani, then I got a bridge in Brooklyn that I want to sell you. Over 5 today was Schwarber again, and I've been on all over the Kyle Schwarber love train this year. I thought he had a great season, but definitely not MVP. Harrison Bader 1 for 4, Schwarber 0 for 5, Harper 1 for 5. Again, another MIA performance today by Bryce Harper. JT Realmuto, the BCIB, chipping in with a healthy 1 for 5, and to include striking out there in the ninth inning when the Phillies had a little bit of a rally going on. Alec Bohm, the offensive player of the day, 4 for 4. Alec Bohm has been on absolute fire since coming back from the IL. Nick Castellanos, 1 for 5, and I'm going to complain about not playing. Kemp is 1 for 4. Stott 1 for 3, and it goes on and on like this as we finish out the lineup. Wilson was 1 for 2. For the Diamondbacks, their top of the lineup / middle order was all over the place. 2 for 4 was Marte. Perdomo was 2 for 5. Corbin Carroll 2 for 5 with 4 RBIs and a home run. Big day for Corbin. Moreno 3 for 5 with an RBI. It kind of peters out a little bit, and then you got Tawa 2 for 4. Lawler 1 for 3, and Barossa 3 for 4. And the Diamondbacks obviously capitalized on their opportunities against the Phillies. Suarez 4 innings, 8 hits, 6 runs. They were all earned a walk, 2 strikeouts. Gave up the homer and 79 pitches through 4 innings. His ERA is now up to 3.12. Lazar, Manaza, Kerkering, and Duran. Johan Duran pitched this game? I didn't even see that. They brought the. Oh, yeah, they did bring him in for Kerkering. Yeah, after Kerkering. Okay, I don't know why they pitched him, but Rodriguez gets the win, by the way. Suarez gets the loss. He's now 12-7. Rodriguez gets the win, 9-8, 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, 95 pitches, which is labored. Abner, Rashi, and Christmas all come in and mop it up for the Diamondbacks. Scoring summary. Diamondbacks got on the Phillies early and often building up that 7-0 lead through 6. Corbin Carroll would get it going in the first when he would knock in Marte on the fielder's choice. Then in the second, Marte would knock in Lawler to make it Lawler and Tawa to make it 3-0. Then in the bottom of the second, again, Corbin Carroll comes up with a 3-run shot to make it 6-0. Barossa would homer in the 6th, making it 7-0. Tawa would homer in the 8th or 7th to make it 8-0. Phillies would finally get on the board in the 8th with Castellanos knocking in Realmuto. Wilson would walk and forcing in Stott to make it 8-2. And then Moreno would ground out in the 9th or in the 8th, and knock in Corbin Carroll in 9-2. Phillies, that's the scoring. That's how it happened. Phillies 13 runners left on base, 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. The Diamondbacks left 8, and they were 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position. What else am I looking here? I wanted to say one more thing. I just totally forgot about it. It just jumped right out of my head. Yeah, and there you go. What the hell was I going to say? I was going to say something about the offense. I don't remember. But that's how you get 9-2, folks. And that's how you get a crappy 9-2. So Phillies now will head home against the Marlins after a day off tomorrow, and then on to with the Miami Marlins and then the Twins before wrapping things up and heading towards the playoffs. So let's do the Broad Street bottom line. All right, the Broad Street bottom line today for this game brought to you by the Down on the Phillies Farm segment. Yes, the final one of regular season play will be coming up here shortly. I am done. We're done. I can't believe it. I'm sad. This will be my final Down on the Phillies Farm regular season segment today. Now, next week, when we wrap the season up against the Twins, I'll be back, and I will do the Down on the Phillies Farm for the year segment. Or maybe I'll hold off until our season review show. That's not a bad idea either. I don't know. We'll think about that, but I just thought of that. I'm making this stuff up as I go, man. But this will be the final regular season version of the Down on the Phillies Farm. So that'll come up a little bit later. So that's what the Broad Street bottom line is brought to you by today. And it's a real simple one for me for the Broad Street bottom line. I'm not going to get too in the weeds on this. I'm not going to get too philosophical or analytical about any of this. 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. End of story. I don't have to explain it anymore. I don't have to go into any more detail about that. 1 for 14 with friggin' runners in scoring position tells the tale, tells all you need to know. If somebody would have showed me that stat only and nothing else about this game, I would have told you right off the bat the Phillies lost. I don't know what the score was, but they lost, and it was probably one of those frustrating ones that we are so familiar with this baseball team. So 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position is my Broad Street bottom line, and no other explanation is needed. Let's go around the bases. All right, we're going around the bases on this Sunday evening in Major League Baseball. First games that have gone final. It was the Braves over the Tigers 6-2. It was the Yankees in 10 innings over the the Yankees beat the Orioles in 10 innings 7-1. How do you go off for 6 runs? Okay, whatever. I love to see that. They won 7-1 in 10 innings. It was the Pirates over the A's 11-0 out in Pittsburgh. I wonder if anybody actually showed up to that game. 1-0 Reds over the Cubs, and that's good news. Bad news for the Mets, who lost. Good news for the Reds and good news for the Diamondbacks. 3-2 Nationals over the Mets. Mets are now teetering, and we'll go over the standings in a second. 6-2 Twins over the Guardians as they put a stop to the red-hot Guardians, at least temporarily. 3-2 Padres over the White Sox. It was 8-5 Blue Jays over the Royals and 5-1 Cardinals over the Brewers. 4-2 Marlins beat the Rangers, and it was 3-1 Rockies over the Angels. 3-1 Giants beat the Dodgers. Games that are still actually happening. In the first inning, bottom of the first, it is 0-0 Mariners and Astros, and just about to get underway out in Tampa, down at George Steinbrenner Field, is the Red Sox and Rays, your ESPN game. And there's your round the bases on this beautiful Sunday night. Let's take a look at the standings. The Blue Jays today clinched a playoff berth. They will now enter the playoffs as they had their 90th win. They are currently in first place in the American League East, 2 games above the Yankees and 4.5 ahead of the Red Sox. Out in the Central, the Guardians, who lost today, had an opportunity. They fell back a little bit, but they still are only trailing the Tigers by 1 game out in the Central. It was the Mariners and Astros. Astros trailed the Mariners by 2. And is that a game that's actually happening? Well, there's like a playoff series going on right now. It's been going on all weekend out in Houston as Mariners are trying to make up or keep the Astros at bay. In the National League, the Phillies, of course, have clinched the National League East, and the Mets are falling apart. In the Central, the Brewers have clinched the NL Central, so they're going to win that division and obviously are on their way to getting that number 1 overall seed in the National League. The Cubs have clinched a playoff berth. So that division's over now. And out west, it's a 3-game lead currently for the Dodgers, who have clinched a playoff berth. And wild card standings updated as hot off the presses. The Yankees, Red Sox, and Astros are your wild cards in the American League, but the Guardians are just a half game off the pace out there. In the National League, a lot more intrigue. The Cubs, Padres, Reds, and Mets. So the Mets, by percentage points, are technically out of the playoffs right now. As the Reds, even though they're tied with the Reds are higher than them in the standings. So those are your 4 wild card teams. With the win today and yesterday, the Diamondbacks are just a game off the pace between the Mets and the Reds. And the Giants 3 back, Cardinals 4 back, and Marlins only 4 back entering the final week of the season. Pretty tight in the National League. It could swing any different way for that final wild card spot. Definitely going to be keeping an eye on a lot of that. And the Phillies have some, they can help their own cause. And I'm not really worried about the Marlins, but they didn't help. Well, I guess they did. And we talked about going into the series that the Phillies would lose the series or get swept. That might hurt the Mets. So maybe the Phillies were running some reverse psychology out there, and that's why they lost the series. I doubt it, but that's your look at the standings as at this hour on this Sunday evening around Major League Baseball as we get ready, coming down the last full week of the regular season, which will start tomorrow. And the Phillies will have the day off before starting the 3-game set against the Marlins. And here you go. Here's your Marlins lineup for the final. Tuesday is Steve, Mike Wednesday, and that'll be me on Thursday. I'll be in for Pat. So there's your Fightins final lineup for this coming week. I am pretty much as your host. We do the host standings. I am falling apart down the stretch. I am down to like 8 games above 500. I am below 60%. Mike Laro is steaming out ahead. He's over 70%. So barring a miracle, which I don't think I have it in me, because I think I got like 2 games or 3 games left. It looks like Mike's going to capture our host championship this year. Rightfully so. I mean, he's been the lucky charm when he's come on. So I'll give you the early congratulations right now, Mike. So there you go. There's our Fightins final lineup for this week. And then that will lead me to it's Sunday. And yeah, it's time to go down on the Phillies farm one final time this regular season. We just have one team to talk about, and that was the only minor league team that's left. And they're done now. They finished up today at home against Syracuse. It's the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, the last team standing in the Phillies minor league system. Everybody else has completed their season, and now it's completely official. The Phillies minor league seasons are over. No one made the playoff. Well, one team made the playoffs, but they're out, and nobody else made the playoffs. So the minor leagues are over. Sucks. Absolutely sucks that we're just down to one team. But we are going to look at the Iron Pigs today, and here it is. Here's your final update with the Iron Pigs. Your player of the week or fielder of the week, Christian Arroyo, the tweener, journeyman, major leaguer, up and down kind of guy. Second baseman, 5 games, 11 hits in 5 games, 3 runs, 1 homer, and 7 RBIs for him this week. So Christian Arroyo gets the final nod as your fielder of the week. And your pitcher of the week. That's right, man. Griff friggin' McGarry. What a story here. Mick Abel had a similar story last year. For those of you that were keeping track at home, Mick Abel had a similar type of rise back into relevancy in 2024 that Griff McGarry has had in 2025. Just promoted earlier in the week to AAA or back to AAA, as he was there, then fell apart, making the most out of his one start that he had earlier this week. It was a win. He went 5, gave up 1 hit, struck out 8, 1 earned run, 2 walks, finished the game with a 1.80 ERA. Good enough for pitcher of the week honors for the recently promoted Griff McGarry. And here's a name that you better be keeping an eye on. Here's a name that should be wearing pinstripes in Clearwater come February. Should be, along with Gene Cabrera and Andrew Painter. Those are the 3 pitchers that I am going to be most interested in this minor league season. They should get, all 3 of them will hopefully get serious looks with the Phillies this spring. I'm not saying all 3 of them are going to make the Phillies, but you might be in a position where all 3 have to make it. I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting offseason what they decide to do. But Griff McGarry and his comeback year makes it a little bit more comfortable when it comes to potentially having to change some people in the rotation or move some people around. More than likely, McGarry will begin next season in AAA, and they'll pretty much go from there with him. But obviously, a great news story, and he is I would imagine he'll get some sort of end-of-season honors as being one of the more valuable players in the Phillies minor league system this year, because he's had a great season, rising from high A all the way up to AAA, or back to AAA, because he was there at one point a couple of years ago. But Griff McGarry is your pitcher of the week. The Pigs on the week went 3-3, 39-32 for the second half, 46-28 in the first half. I know they played today. I don't know what happened. These stats were pulled from Sunday through Saturday. Did not qualify for the playoffs. Did not win the first half and did not win the second half. It was the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders who won the International League second half season. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp won the first half. So you got Scranton and Jacksonville going to party down in the International League divisional playoffs. And I think out west in the Pacific Coast League, you got Tacoma and Vegas that are going to go at it. And then the winners will face each other in the AAA World Series in Vegas at some point in the early part of October. And once again, a Phillies team affiliate will not be, part of that. But good season. Overall, it was a very good season for the Pigs. And I hope you had an opportunity to get out and check out minor league baseball this year. If you didn't, don't worry. It'll be back next season. One of the great things about living in the Philadelphia area, or about the positioning of our minor league teams, all of them with the exception of one is probably within an hour and a half car ride away. Unless, the team down in Clearwater is pretty far away, but everybody else is pretty much regionally located. So if you did not get to a minor league game this season, I really heavily recommend that you go next year at some point, and wait till the summer. Wait till like July. Don't go in April, in March. It's absolutely uncomfortable, but wait until the summer and take the family out, especially if you have kids and a large family. You could actually get to a baseball game and it be financially reasonable in the minor leagues, and you'll be seeing the stars of tomorrow. Maybe you have an opportunity to watch Griff McGarry's continuing rise up the Phillies minor league system. But here's to the minor leagues, and here's to the second year of the Down the Phillies Farm segment completed. I finished another one. What took you all the way, or was it the third year? When did I start this? 23. So it's the third year of Down on the Phillies Farm that we've done. Or I should say, who am I? We crap. Me. I've done it for 3 years. So I enjoyed doing it. I loved it. There will be one more segment that will go through all 5 levels again, and we'll highlight the players of the year. Maybe I'll wait for the season review show for that. It just literally dawned on me to do that. I was going to do it next week, but maybe I hold off on it until we do our 2025 Phillies season review show. That might be a better idea. Let the others get in on some of that minor league fun. And there you have it, man. Down the Phillies Farm over for the season. Where did it all go? I mean, honestly, I remember the first spring training game against the Blue Jays. Where did it all go? Why is it gone? Somebody tell me, man. I want to know. But we're moving on. Got to move on. Phillies will move on tomorrow. Day off. Then they'll start Tuesday night at home against the Marlins, finishing up against the Minnesota Twins over the weekend. And then we sit and we wait and see who's left. So more than likely, I mean, is there an off chance the Phillies fall to that 3rd seed? Yeah, I guess maybe there is, but probably not. I'm going to bank on that number 2 seed, and I'm okay with it. Especially when you go 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position and you leave 13 runners on base. I'm okay with that. So, but not okay with the win or the loss today, 9-2. Just not as lopsided as the score indicates. The Phillies did have their chances, but they could not finish the deal. So that's going to do me up. Another loss for me. Phillies lose their first series since getting swept by the Mets way back when up at Citi Field earlier in this month. A very productive month so far in September. I think now 13-7 on the month, or 6 around there. One of their better months of the season, rivaling that of the month of May, and they'll have an opportunity to continue those good vibes through the next week as we wrap up the season. But definitely tore it on there or brought it on at the end. But now we're looking at 2 games in a row now that we've lost, and we've lost them sort of the same way. And again, some of those ugly old habits are starting to rear their ugly head. And all those feel-good vibes of early September, they're starting to kind of wilt away in the early autumn weather. So let's see if they can get it back. Let's see if they can maintain and going down the stretch, see how this team is heading into the playoffs. But I'll be back later tonight at 10 o'clock for the final word, and we'll be going over more of this. Obviously, the Eagles in a miraculous win today down at Lincoln Financial Field. We'll definitely give you my 2 cents worth of that game. I think it was a great character win for the team, a great team win. But it's going to be narratives are going to be spun about this game that are false, and I will give you my reasons why I think they're false. There's an offense problem with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't think it's the damn coordinator. I honestly don't. I don't think it's the coordinator. And but we'll get into some more Eagles tonight. The Flyers are in action tonight against the Islanders. Flyers opening up the 25-26 preseason against the New York Islanders right now. They're on. Go check them out. Little action, little Flyer preseason action, as we're that close to the season. As the NHL preseason started yesterday, the Flyers get going tonight. So Flyers International, maybe we'll talk a little bit Flyer hockey. I'm not going to really knock in the preseason, but of course the Flyers were saddened today, and all of us were, by the death of Bernie Parent. So rest in peace, Bernie. You know, you're definitely part of the first pillar and only pillar of Flyer championship history. So we'll mention a little bit about Bernie tonight as well. So big night left on the program here on the It's a Wrap Sports with the final word. So make sure you're back and wrap up your day with me. Dave checking in with I'm one pissed off Cowboys fan. Dave, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I know the Eagles won, and I kind of know that they came back and miraculously won at the end, but I've been on a baseball field since 2 o'clock this afternoon. I did a double header of 18U baseball. So I have no idea what happened anywhere else in the NFL today. I got to get caught up. So if they lost, well, I don't care. I hate the Cowboys, but so I only know about the Eagles because I was able to piecemeal information through as I was doing these games. But yeah, we'll get. I'll be more informed tonight when I come back on. So you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Please, if you missed any of the greatness that was today on the network, go back and watch it on our YouTube, Facebook, and X. Like, share, and subscribe. Help us out, please. Let us continue to build this brand. And we'll talk again in a few hours as I'll be back for the final word at 10 o'clock. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you later.